So this past week, news came down the pike that Spider-Man would be leaving the MCU and no longer under Marvel's purview and going solely back to Sony Pictures.
The earth cracked, the heavens opened, angels fell from the sky.
And people stopped learning how to read. So let's talk about the details, the facts, before we give our opinion. So basically, talks broke down between Tom Rothman, who is the head of Sony Pictures, and on the Disney side, literally co-chairman Alan Horn got involved in the negotiations. Right,
Sure.
Fucking Alan Horn is a big deal. Alan Horn is one step under Bob Iger. And so after Spider-Man Far From Home made $1.109 billion, Sony apparently, according to reports, felt emboldened to take back their property because they're like, cool, we did it. We did it. We had $800 million showing with Venom. We had this. Into the Spider-Verse, won an Oscar, did like moderately well as far as money.
Right.
We're rocking and rolling. We don't need Kevin Feige. We're gonna branch out on our own. So they, Marvel came to them and said, look, we want to change the details of the deal that we came up with initially. We want to renegotiate. And so Sony said no, and then Marvel apparently walked away as well. The arrangement that Marvel was seeking was...
Well, give the original deal first.
Right. So the original deal was that Sony basically lend Spider-Man out to the MCU. So in non-solo Spider-Man movies, he could be in it. Right. Sony would make no money off of that.
Right.
Right?
Non-solo movies meaning Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War.
Right. So Sony made no money on that. Marvel kept all the money. Right? And that's just having him as a secondary character, right? Like he's just in the fucking movie, right? Like any other character. Then on the Sony side, Marvel would oversee the solo Spider-Man movies, Homecoming and Far From Home, and Disney would only get 5% of the profits.
Now, when you say, because I want to be very specific about all of this.
Yep.
Right? Marvel, on the Marvel side, Sony would produce 100% produce, i.e., pay for the solo Spider-Man movies, and they will be a Sony Pictures production.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Marvel essentially would act as consultants to kind of do all the creative. So everything that you see on screen, the cast, the story,
the stuff you care about.
That
the stuff you care about.
That is what Marvel took care of. Sony would get 95 cents of every new dollar that those movies made. Marvel would get 5 cents of every dollar that those movies made. And it was for the two movies?
Yeah, well, it would have been
3, I think.
Yeah, it would have been 3 had this not happened. Yeah.
Right. So, and in return, Marvel would get 100% of the merchandising.
No,
for the solo Spider-Man movies.
That is not true. No,
what is the merchandising?
The merchandising agreement happened in a separate agreement in 2011. That was not a part of this at all.
Okay.
So, in actuality, and a thing a lot of people aren't aware of, Sony didn't get any of the merchandising, but Marvel actually made a deal with them that they would cut them a check for $30 million every single year just because the character is under them. That was a goodwill kind of thing.
Okay.
But that was not like a contract of like, you owe us a percentage of the merchandising. That was not true.
It was like, here's a tip. Here's a tip. Thanks for being good sports and letting us use the character.
Because what's $30 million?
Right.
What's $30 million to Marvel, especially in merchandise? It's nothing.
Yeah.
They make that in a fucking weekend. So all of that being said, the new deal that Marvel came to them with, and we'll break down the comparison here. The new deal that Marvel came to them with was, we will take on 50% of the production costs, right? Remember, Sony had 100%
of
right? So we're gonna lessen your load by 50%. Lessen the risk, right? Risk is important word to use here. 50% we'll take. In exchange for that, they were starting the negotiation, and again, this is key. They were starting the negotiation of their profit margin at 50%.
Right.
Which, according to reports, they were willing to go as low as 30%. Right? So when you hear people say they wanted 50% of the profits, that's not accurate. That's not how negotiations work. So again, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of conjecture that's happening. Please read. Like, it's important.
Nick, just kind of piggyback on that, because I remember, like, the other day, I heard the reverse of that.
Right.
That Marvel walked away, and then Sony came back at them and said, okay, we'll do 70-30.
Yeah, that's not true.
But in fact, it's Marvel that said, hey, we'll go 70 as low as 30 to 70.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So again, that would be Marvel taking 50% of the production cost, lessening the load for Sony, and taking at a minimum 30% of the profits on, again, with doing all of the creative work that people care about, that gets people to the fucking screens, right? Nobody cares who paid for what production. Like, nobody cares about that. You care about, does this shit look dope?
I think Sony did the marketing also. So they paid for the marketing, production and marketing.
Okay.
I think is what they did.
But that's still, but I think that's still included in the 50%.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay. All of that information is out there, right? I personally think, and it's just me, myself personally.
Wait, you so personally feel as
though. I feel as though. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I think Sony fucked up because I think the idea that they are going to be able to do this on their own, they have proven over and over again that they cannot. And I know people say, oh, well, Venom made a lot of money. Venom has a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. They have proven yet again that they cannot make good Spider-Man movies even in that universe. They are not good at this. That's my opening salvo as far as that goes.
That side of the business doesn't care about art.
I know.
They care about making money.
I agree.
And to that point, Venom, like you said, made $800 million plus dollars.
Yeah, it's a fact.
That motherfucker overperformed.
Spider-Man was a critical darling and a commercial success, and won the highest the highest award in its category that it can win. I'm not mad at Sony for thinking that they know what's best for their business. I'm not mad at Marvel for saying, hey, you know, we don't mind putting up half of the risk. Can we get
some of the reward?
30 cents on the dollar?
Right.
So it's weird. It's amusing to me how we, all of us, who don't know shit about shit, are at each other's throats about this.
Oh, the battle lines have been drawn, baby.
Look. I understand everybody loves Spider-Man, right? Everybody loves, Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I love him as Spider-Man, right? Marvel doesn't need Spider-Man.
No.
They've proved that by making their first movie that hit $1 billion was an Avengers movie, guys. Like Iron Man and Cornball Captain America and dost thou weareth thy mother's drapes, Thor, right. and a guy with a bow and arrow made $1 billion,
and a lady with a gun,
with a gun
with a Glock against
right.
aliens,
right? like the Avengers shouldn't have happened, but it did.
Yeah, it did.
And look, I will acknowledge my fan bias, right? I want Spider-Man in these things. So from my purview, I think that Sony could have taken, should have taken the deal. I mean, everyone says, oh, it's Disney being greedy. It's Disney being greedy. I don't I don't see the greed aspect of it that
No.
that a lot of people are saying. But at the same time, I 100% acknowledge Sony's interest. Spider-Man is their only guaranteed payday.
Yep.
It is their only franchise that they have that they can 100% bank, no matter what the quality is, that everyone will go see.
Yep.
And I'm not mad at them for thinking that, you know, they don't want to get, they're scared. They're scared, guys. They're scared. And they're probably thinking if we give them this, 5 years later, they might want to renegotiate again
Right.
and want to take more money, and then eventually it'll be gone. And I want to hold my baby because this is literally the only thing that I have. So I'm not upset at Sony for thinking that they're doing what's best for their business. What I am upset with is just the discourse about it. None of you people know anything. Us included. We don't know what actually happened in that room. In that room.
We do.
Quite frankly, this is my conspiracy hat. We're all getting worked, bro. They're working us.
You think so? You know what this weekend is?
D23.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it
that's
be
what I'm thinking about that too.
fucking amazing? Can you imagine the crowd reception if Marvel comes out and is like, guess what, guys?
Worked it out.
We did it. They did it before, and the internet blew up.
Now here's the thing.
And look, part of that is me just wanting to believe.
Yeah. You gotta relax, because you're gonna be sad as fuck come Sunday night and shit. Like, do they have any last minute announcements?
I'm serious.
Turn those lights back on.
Waking up at 2:00 in the morning on Monday, like, so what happened, guys?
I mean, I know the time difference is in 3 hours. Maybe Kevin Feige had a secret dinner. Like, relax. I think there is a possibility that it's a work, right? Like, I think that's true. However, I think there's a better explanation of why it's around D23. And I think this information gets thrown out into the press and it gets dumped out there to have people fighting about it and stuff like that right before D23 to add pressure, right? Because this is looming over Disney's big event. This is their fucking Comic-Con, and you're like, better get it done. You better come back to the table. You go out there and you can impress all your fans.
And who's the one that made the statement first? Sony.
That's right. Right. So
this is public negotiations, folks.
Right. This is a move, right? So again, this is one of the things that really drives me crazy is when people don't understand. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to believe that art is the only thing that's being considered in events like this. I'm not saying you are saying that, but like, don't only consider that, right? Like, I just want Spider-Man in the MCU, and that's the only thing that matters.
Right, that doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
They don't care about that. They care about making money.
Right. But at the same time, don't assume that only the business matters either, right? Because they also know that they also saw the trend on Twitter, make no mistake, that said, #boycott Sony, that trended worldwide. Okay? They are well aware that, like, don't fuck around. Nope. Don't fuck around. Here's my other thing. I have been doing some research. And some research I've already known that I will bring to your attention. I just think it's important for people to understand these things, and then things that people may not know. Now, I've seen a lot of people say that 30% is too much of a percentage for a company to get for someone else's property. It's too much, right? It's unacceptable. Well, let's do a little bit of research. Hey, Micah, so you like Skyfall? You like the James Bond movies?
Sure do.
Are you aware of the deal between Barbara Broccoli, MGM, and Sony Pictures?
What's that, Jay?
Well, it looks like whenever they make a James Bond movie, Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Wilson, and MGM, the producers, and all those guys, they get 75% of whatever the James Bond movie makes. And you know who gets 25% of that money? Sony does. They get 25%. You know what Sony does in all those fucking James Bond movies? Do they make the movie? Do they cast it? Do they write it? Do they come up with all the universe shit? No. They distribute it. That's the only thing they fucking do. And they get 25% of all the James Bond money. Don't talk to me about Sony having a problem with giving up 30% of their fucking profits. These motherfuckers take 25% of James Bond. They don't even make the fucking movie. They don't even make the fucking movie. So this whole idea, again, just research things, just saying it makes sense to pay attention. 2, Tom Rothman. Tom Rothman, former runner of Fox Studios, ran it pretty much into the ground. like in a lot of ways he did, right? But Tom Rothman, also a very talented guy, very successful guy over his career. I'm not going to pretend he's not. Is notorious for not being a comic book movie fan. He is not. Hey, did you like Deadpool? Cool, I'm glad you did. You know why I didn't get made for all those years? That's because of Tom Rothman, who said, quote, "It will not work." He's also the same guy who, when Deadpool was in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he's the one literally who said, cover his mouth. He was the one who pushed for that. He's the one who pushed for that. So if you think Spider-Man is in good hands, okay, because now he's in charge of Sony, just so you know. Because I think that's important to understand. The other thing about Tom Rothman, again, this unprecedented thing of studios working together, how are they going to do it? You know what Tom Rothman also did? Tom Rothman also founded TriStar Productions. You know what TriStar Productions is? It's an arm of TriStar Pictures. You know what they are? A fucking studio made up of 3 studios that had equal fucking pay across all 3. Sony, Fox, and CBS, I believe. Okay? So again, just research. Just a quick little Google search. Just saying. It remains to be seen how well they do on their own. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to work out well for them.
Yeah.
I think that you have pissed off the MCU crowd, and I don't think they come out for Venom 2. I don't think you get $800 million on that Venom movie.
You think they come out for Spider-Man?
Don't know.
I think they will.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're still gonna get that bleed over loyalist.
Yeah, I mean, look, Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, probably. Like, of course, it's fucking Spider-Man. Like, I'm not going to pretend that. Venom? Venom? No,
I didn't see that first Venom.
No,
I'm not
did.
seeing that first
I
one.
did. Okay, I did. I got a better reason not to see 2. I saw the first one. No, it was fucking terrible.
I'm not gonna lie about Spider-Man either. I'm not gonna see it. I've been done. So
yeah, you're not a Spider. You're not.
Yeah, and I'm at this point. I did appreciate seeing him in the MCU. Tom Holland knocks it out the fucking park. But if he's there, cool. Fuck it, rock out. If he's not, yeah,
honestly, I mean,
like you said, Marvel don't. I said we like I'm getting a check. Fuck, but Marvel don't need it. It's like, all right, whatever.
No, they don't need it. One last note, and then I want to talk about one other thing with this. Stop saying it's a monopoly at Disney.
Yeah.
When you say this, you sound, and I mean this truly, like a fucking idiot. Stop saying it. It's not a monopoly. The only monopoly they have, and okay, if you want to use it in this word, is making billion-dollar movies, then yes, they are a fucking monopoly. It's not a monopoly just because they're popular. They're making movies that people want to see. Other studios make movies.
That's what they're supposed to do.
That's literally their job.
That's your job. Make movies people want to fucking see.
Like, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to do like Sony, put out fucking 30 movies that nobody goes and sees? What the fuck for? No, they make movies that people see. By the way, they're a monopoly, according to some people who don't understand what words mean. You know how many movies Disney put out this year so far? 7. That's it. Just 7. You know how many Sony put out? 12. Who's the monopoly? Right? Is buying companies that makes them a monopoly? Sony just bought a company this week.
Right.
They just bought Insomniac Games. I mean, okay. Like
in this,
it doesn't mean anything.
And like in this belief that like that we kind of talked about it off air, like, you know, even some of the X-Men crowd, the belief that they're so beholden to these companies, like Sony deserves and owns Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man belongs to Marvel. Yeah. That's theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, despite whatever movie rights they gave out, okay, we get that part, but in essence, that's their character. So
I'm so upset.
It's not like they're ripping the baby from the mother and shit.
Right. I'm so upset that Marvel didn't sell Spider-Man along with the X-Men and everything to Fox. Yeah. At this point, because then we would have just had everything back and it would have been done.
Pretty much. Yeah, we would have been like Warner Brothers in DC.
Yeah, just all and to one studio.
Everything under one umbrella.
Right. Yep. And look, I'm going to tell you like this. I give Spider-Man 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years before people are like, yo, this is fucking trash. 2 to 3 years.
One thing I do wonder about if they don't reconcile is how are they going to
they will
resolve the narrative as far as, okay, are they not going to mention Spider-Man going forward? This kid that just showed up in this grand battle.
I don't even want to think about the creative side of
Right.
it. Because the creative side is going to be a mess. Because
it's worse for Sony.
Yeah.
It's far worse for Sony.
Well, Sony, they're just going to reboot.
No.
Oh, they can't reboot?
Not yet.
I don't even think it's worth.
Holland is contracted to finish this out and then option for another movie.
That doesn't mean he can't reboot.
I'm telling you, dude, they're not going to.
It don't mean he can't reboot. It would be dumb, but it don't mean he can't reboot. They can't reboot. They can do anything on the creative side.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't.
Would you put it past him?
That would be monumentally stupid. It would be monumentally stupid. I think they would actually lose some of that cast if they did.
You will see the death of Uncle Ben.
Oh no, they got to put it in.
Yeah, they have to put it in.
No,
it's like killing Bruce Wayne's parents. It's in every fucking movie.
Somebody got to get clapped, and Uncle Ben, you were in.
Oh shit! Not again.
They're like, yo, you've been Spider-Man for 30 years. You got it down, Uncle Ben. But there's also another aspect, and this points to the creative side. John Watts is not signed on yet to direct the next one. It's not. If you think that all of this is just going to shift over, like, people want to work with Marvel. It's not that they want to just work on Spider-Man. They want to work on Marvel. Who do you think hired John Watts? It was fucking Kevin Feige, dude. It wasn't Avi Arad. They didn't give them the right to do that shit because they're not going to put their fucking garbage ideas into the MCU. They're not. So good luck. And everyone, they, like all these like narratives of like them standing up against Disney and stuff like that. If vindictiveness is your reason for being okay with this,
ain't nobody standing up against nobody. They're two multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, guys. Sony Pictures doesn't need you to defend them.
Sony's like some little grindhouse production team out of fucking Iowa and shit.
It's not A24 versus Disney.
Like,
are you kidding me?
We're fighting the good fight for the people.
By the way, buy your 13th PlayStation 4. Like, what are you talking about? Shit. They're a massive organization. They'll be fine.
But of course, good.
There are 5 major movie studios.
Right. I'm glad you brought this up because I have another little note. Go ahead.
NBC Universal, part of the Comcast conglomerate. Viacom, part of the National Amusements conglomerate. Warner Media, part of the AT&T conglomerate. Walt Disney Studios, part of the Walt Disney Company conglomerate. And Sony Pictures, part of the Sony conglomerate. So those are the 5 major ones. Those are just the major ones. Like, that doesn't include like the smaller ones like Lionsgate and Amblin and CBS.
A24.
Right. Like, that doesn't include those, right? So Disney is not buying, look, it's a monopoly. Disney ain't buying NBC. They're not buying Warner.
Right, like if they bought Warner Brothers, I'd be like, yo, this is a problem. This is a problem. It's a real problem.
Like, they're not doing that. So the monopoly thing is just funny to me.
Right.
So, yeah.
Again, it's just like, you're a big successful company. And Disney's everywhere. They put out 7 movies this year. They're everywhere.
And also, too, again.
What are you talking about?
They're buying up companies, whatever, but it's not like they are raping and pillaging, kicking down doors, like, yo, give me your shit. These people are saying, hey, we're up for sale. Any takers out there?
Yeah.
Who's the highest bidder? Hey, Disney, cool. We'll take that.
That original Spider-Man deal, Amy Pascal, who worked at Sony at the time, came to Kevin Feige, who works at Disney, and said, hey,
help us.
Let's do
fucking
this.
Drowning.
Look, I mean,
I want to work with you guys.
Right. And then he was like, you guys aren't handling this Spider-Man very well. And she threw her sandwich at him, apparently, in the meal, which was funny. And then she was like, you're right. And then she signed the fucking deal. But look, you can talk all the shit you want about how Disney handles things from a business side or the creative side. But here's one thing that you don't know more than the people who created this shit. You don't know Star Wars better than George Lucas does. You don't. You know how I know? Because George Lucas was like, who's the best steward for my fucking legacy? Disney. Who gets it better than anybody? Who is going to make these products and make the shit work? Disney.
And put the money behind it.
Put money behind it. Who did Fox go to? Hey, Who's the biggest guy in town? Who's going to be able to take on the $70 million and make the shit work?
Right.
It was only 3 options. It was Disney, Amazon, or Comcast. And Comcast came straight cash, and they were still like, no.
Comcast was like, yo, how much you want?
Right.
How much you want real quick? Let me break you off something.
Right.
I wonder if Fox went to Comcast, would we be talking about this whole, you got to punch Sony in the mouth just to make sure you got to humble Disney. You got to humble them. Like, I wonder how much of that is because that was so prevalent in the news.
Right.
I wonder if they went to somewhere else, would we be having this asinine conversation?
I don't know, but I also wonder what happens to those rights. Like, do all the Marvel stuff revert back to them if they change studios? I don't know.
I would think that they would keep I don't know.
But it depends on how the original contract was.
Sony?
Yeah.
Like, if for some reason...
If Fox went to Comcast instead of...
Does Marvel get all of its properties back in that exchange? Like, yoink!
The way I heard a couple times when that deal was kind of still being worked out was it actually would go back to Marvel. Because Marvel sold the rights to Fox. And like this, if they went to Comcast and Comcast kept the Fox banner, it still stays. But if they absorbed them, the rights go back because Marvel didn't sell the rights to them.
Then they would have definitely never gotten rid of that Fox banner. They would have been like, no. Yeah. Even if these are only for comic book movies, we're not selling it back. Look, I just need people to understand that, like, this is not a as simple of a fight as you think it is. Right. It's way more complex than that, and negotiations happen. And look, I think there's part of me does think that maybe this is a work, and that it's just negotiating in public before D23.
Yeah, that's honestly, that I think is what's going on right now.
Right. Because, I mean, there's still talk like they're coming back to the table, maybe. Right. Like, there's a lot. Look, if I'm Kevin Feige and they're like, look, we'll give you... Look, I don't even think it's unreasonable. I think 30%, by the way, of profit is completely reasonable for us doing all the work. like I do. I'm sorry. I whether people agree with that or not, I don't really care. But I think that's completely reasonable. That being said, if Sony was like, 15%, I'd take that deal. 15%, who cares? It's fine.
Right.
Let's rock and roll. But I'd be like, all right, 15%. And the thing,
15%, but I'm not putting up 50% of
Oh, no, that number got to come down.
Yeah, come on, yo.
But like, I will do 50% if you give me 30% or more. Anything less than that, we got to drop that money.
Yeah.
Because I'm not taking on the same amount of risk as you, and I'm still getting fucked. Like, that's stupid. The other thing that they were pointing out is Sony was saying, and this is why I don't believe them. They were saying, well, Kevin Feige didn't want to be producer on our movies anymore because he's too busy. And I was like, that doesn't sound like, nah.
Fuck out here with that bullshit.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit to me.
Yeah, it ain't Kevin Feige doing everything, but he's not producing these things by himself.
He's not writing the scripts. Kevin Feige up all night, like, and then Spider-Man meets Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, no, that's not.
Sony, cut the bullshit, yo. That's offensive.
Yeah,
I mean, they just, I get it. They wanted to hurry up and because boycott Sony was trending worldwide. You got dummies out there talking about, I'm going to destroy my PS4 because,
slow down.
Yeah, calm down, everybody.
Like, I'm not pleased about this.
Yeah, but
relax.
I'm good. You're like pretty good.
What are you, a conservative? I'm going to go to Starbucks and make them say Merry Christmas. That'll show up like, but you still bought the Starbucks.
Calm you there. Those divisions are different, guys. Yeah, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah,
but per usual, the internet never fails. The internet never fails. The best things come out of all this.
Memes. Yeah, all the memes have been good.
Be happy, Terrence. The funniest one I saw was the one. It's like the old black lady like laying up in the clouds with a wine like. And the caption says Tony Stark looking down from heaven, realizing he sacrificed his life for nothing.
Yeah. He's like, I see that. That's pretty good. There are some pretty good ones, I have to say. The memes have been stellar on both sides. So look, I do think they're going to end up working it out. I don't know if it'll be before D23, but that certainly would be a perfect time.
Yeah, I honestly,
playing the fuck out.
But I don't think it's so much that they're both lying to us. Like,
Yeah, no, they're not.
I think they're just using us
Right.
to amp up the fight on either side.
Right.
Because even but
no, go ahead.
no, I was saying even Sony. I was trying to find it when you was talking, but I couldn't. But Sony had released a statement about things kind of breaking down, but the statement was so fucking PR perfect.
Yeah,
it was no venom, nobody throwing nobody under the bus, but it was that type, like you said, they putting the pressure kind of on Marvel, like, hey, we love what y'all did with it. It was a great.
Yeah, we love working with you.
I don't. We love making $1 billion. I bet you did. Yeah, look, I mean, Tom Rothman is notorious for being kind of a dick. Like, he is. But even Tom Rothman's not a fucking idiot. Like, he's not. And I cannot imagine them thinking, yeah, let's go it alone. Like, because one of the other things is that Disney was talking about in their revised deal that they wanted, like, okay, here's the deal for the Spider-Man movies, but they also wanted that same percentage of production to profit ratio on other Sony properties, right? And people were like, they're gonna just take all of Sony's properties? No, dumb. They're talking about the Marvel stuff. What, like, do you need everything handheld for you? So yeah, what that means, people again, I need like context clues, logic, reason. If they are getting money for those things, if they are getting a part of the profit margin from that, and they are taking on the risk for that, what they're telling you is, we want to bring all of your shit into the MCU. It's what they're telling you. That means, hey, you want to do Venom? Cool, we'll do Venom.
Right.
But let us handle Venom and do it right. That's what they're telling me. That's the deal. Again, I don't know why you don't take that deal, but that's just me.
You don't take that deal because you figure, hey,
I don't need them.
You figure you don't need them,
but you do them.
And you figure, hey, we did Venom all by ourselves, and it made a ton of money. Yeah, and we got 100% of all that. Yeah. So that's like, I understand where they're coming from. I really do.
Sure, I absolutely understand that perspective.
And I think most people don't want to hear it. Like,
I get that. They made $800 million. Like, what the fuck?
Right. So, like what was said, I believe, by you directly on this show, all you people that went to see Venom,
it's your fucking fault.
This is your fault.
Look. You ask any movie fan. I was right. I was fucking right. I told you, man. I fucking told you, don't see this movie. I told you now. There's nothing's gonna happen. Everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I told you, the second that movie made $866 million, they felt emboldened. You know why? Because Avi Arad, who'd been pushing Venom for years, the same asshole who made Sam Raimi put him in, pushing that character 4 years, finally got in the ear of fucking Sony and was like, let's do it. And he fucking got him to do it, and it made a ton of money, and he was like, your boy is here, Avi Arad. I did that shit. Damn. You're welcome.
Blame my $8. God damn it. I got
told you. This is why we review movies ahead of time.
Yeah.
This is why we do screeners. So we don't have to pay for it to tell you, don't waste your money.
Yo, Chad, this is your fault. This is out of the crew. This is your goddamn idea. He love fucking Venom. Like, all right, let's go see this shit, dude. All right, I'll go. Fuck it.
Venom will eventually make it on we watch trash because it's bad.
Y'all watch trash. That's what that's gonna be.
Micah refuses.
Tom Rothman from Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes, that's true.
Ain't that a bitch?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking Baltimore fucking it up again, yo.
Yep.
Watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.